Today, we're discussing a tragic shooting in Chicago, an update on the devastating wildfires in Hawaii, a development in the ongoing FTX saga, the Purdue family may be in a bit of trouble, and the AI tech wars are just beginning. What's up, Internet? Welcome back to another episode of The Insight Hour. If you don't know, I'm Digi, your host to all the things. But instead of rambling on about me, let's just get right into it. Alice, can you pull up the file on the Chicago story first?
A tragic incident occurred in Chicago's Portage Park neighborhood, where a 9-year-old girl named Sarah B. Medina was fatally shot while riding her scooter. The incident reportedly stemmed from a noise complaint.
So Michael Goodman, age 43, has been charged with first-degree murder in connection with Sarabi's death. Witnesses claim that Goodman was upset over the noise created by the children playing in the area, leading to the fatal shooting on Saturday night. Neighbors expressed disbelief and confusion over the incident, stating that they had previously told Goodman that the children were just having fun and should be left alone. After the shooting, Sarabi's father tackled Goodman, leading to a struggle during which Goodman was shot. He was subsequently taken to the hospital and now is in custody. As of recording, no attorney was listed for Goodman to comment on the case. The community is mourning the loss, with stuffed animals and sunflowers placed near the scene of the shooting. Chicago Public Schools also released a statement expressing devastation over the loss of another young life. This incident is just another heartbreaking reminder of the urgent need to address gun violence and mental health issues in our communities. The fact that it's a child's life that was taken over something as trivial as noise from playing is a deeply disturbing reflection of the underlying problems that need to be tackled. The community's response, on the other hand, shows a sense of unity and compassion that hopefully lead to positive changes and support for the grieving family.
An update on the catastrophic wildfires in Maui, Hawaii. As of recording, the devastating tragedy has now resulted in the loss of at least 53 lives and the destruction of upwards of 1,700 buildings.
Now, the fires have been raging for 3 days, and the destruction is so widespread that it's hard to estimate the full extent of the damage. The older neighborhood of Lahaina, a major economic hub that attracted millions of tourists, is completely destroyed. The governor described it as likely the largest natural disaster in Hawaii's state history. The death toll is expected to rise as the search teams venture into the devastated areas. The 53 confirmed deaths make this the second deadliest blaze in the United States in a century, trailing only California's Camp Fire in 2018. Thousands of people are now homeless, and the governor has appealed to hotels and residents to open up their doors for those displaced. The governor estimates the losses will be in the billions of dollars. Lahaina, home to about 12,000 people, will take many years to rebuild. Currently, hospitals are overwhelmed with burn patients and those suffering from smoke inhalation. President Biden has approved a disaster declaration, freeing up federal aid for recovery in Maui County. More than 10,000 homes and businesses are without power, and there's not enough long-term shelter for those displaced. As of now, airlines are increasing their capacities to get people off the island, and there are efforts being made to restoring cell phone networks and power in the area.
The US and China are engaged in a battle to limit each other's access to technology that could boost their military capabilities. For example, the US's CHIPS and Science Act aims to restrict China's access to US chip manufacturing technology. In response, China has implemented export controls on materials like gallium and germanium, used in manufacturing solar cells and semiconductors.
Okay, so the AI market is booming. Its value is expected to reach a whopping $908.7 billion by 2030, growing at a compounding annual rate of 35.2%. The disruptive technology has a significant implication for modern warfare, including training, intelligence gathering, electronic warfare, and frontline services. Lethal autonomous weapons, or laws, are now becoming increasingly relevant as militaries implement AI. Countries like the US, Russia, India, and Israel have blocked UN talks on banning such weapons, despite the ethical concerns over the ability to identify and eliminate threats without human oversight. The ongoing tech war between the US and China is a concerning development that underscores the relentless pursuit of military dominance at the expense of ethical considerations. The tit-for-tat actions between the US and China risk escalating tensions and could lead to a broader conflict. The focus on outpacing each other in military technology rather than fostering collaboration and understanding is a dangerous path. With the rapid growth of AI in the military realm, particularly the development of lethal autonomous weapons, raises an abundance of serious ethical questions. The potential for these weapons to act without human oversight could lead to an unintended consequence and the loss of innocent life. The refusal by major powers to engage in UN talks to regulate or ban autonomous weapons shows a lack of commitment to global peace and security. It's essential to prioritize diplomatic efforts and international agreements to ensure that technology advancements are guided by ethical principles and humanity's best interests. In conclusion, the tech war between US and China, especially in the realm of AI, is a manifestation of a militaristic mindset that prioritizes dominance over cooperation and ethics. It's a path that not only threatens global stability, but also overlooks the pressing needs of humanity. The pursuit of peace, international collaboration, and ethical governance should be at the forefront of our global agenda. But what do I know? I'm just some dude trapped in this box. Moving on!
The Supreme Court has temporarily halted a nationwide settlement with Purdue Pharma. the maker of OxyContin, that would have protected the Sackler family, who own the company, from civil lawsuits related to the opioid crisis.
Alright, so a quick refresh. The agreement reached last year with the state and local governments would allow Purdue Pharma to emerge from bankruptcy as a different entity, and the Sackler family would contribute up to $6 billion. However, a crucial part of that agreement would shield the Sackler family from lawsuits, even though they aren't seeking bankruptcy protections as individuals. The U.S. bankruptcy trustee, represented by the Justice Department, opposes releasing the Sackler family from legal liability. The Supreme Court justices have agreed to hear arguments before the end of the year to determine whether the settlement can proceed. They have also directed the parties to address whether bankruptcy law authorizes a blanket shield from lawsuits filed by all opioid victims. Opioids have been linked to more than 70,000 fatal overdoses annually in the U.S. in recent years. The crisis began to escalate in the early 2000s with the prevalence of Oxycontin and other potent prescription painkillers. While Purdue Pharma expressed confidence in the legality of the reorganization plan, they were disappointed by the delay, and I can only imagine why. Individual victims of the opioid crisis expressed both disappointment in having to wait longer for compensation and praise for the court's urgency in hearing the case. Personally, I think the block is a good thing. It challenges the power of wealthy individuals and corporations to negotiate settlements that may shield them from legal responsibility. And lastly, it opens up a broader conversation about corporate responsibility, legal accountability, and the role of the court system in protecting public interests. Alice, last story of the day, please.
Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of FTX, has been sent to jail over allegations of witness tampering, following a ruling by Judge Lewis Kaplan. The decision was made after federal prosecutors requested the revocation of Bankman-Fried's bail, which had been set at $250 million. He was taken into custody directly from a court hearing in New York.
So Judge Kaplan denied SBF's request for a delayed detention pending an appeal, meaning he's expected to remain in custody until his criminal trial, scheduled to begin October 2nd. The judge stated there was probable cause to believe that SBF had attempted to tamper with witnesses at least twice. The government requested that he be remanded to a jail in Putnam, New York, where he would have access to a laptop with internet for defense preparation, rather than Brooklyn's Metro Detention Center, which has limited internet access. Since his arrest in December, SBF has been out on bail, but required to remain with his parents' house in Palo Alto, California. His court appearance is the latest in a series of pretrial hearings related to his continued dealings with the press, which the Justice Department characterizes as pattern of witness tampering and evading his bail conditions. Members of the press and defense attorneys have objected to SBF's detention, citing free speech concerns and arguing that he is asserting his First Amendment rights. However, the prosecution has pointed to over 100 emails and 1,000 phone calls to the media, including leaking private diary entries of his ex-girlfriend, Carolyn Ellison, to the New York Times. Ellison, the former chief executive of SBF's failed crypto hedge fund Alameda Research, has been cooperating with the government and is an expected key witness for the prosecution. The prosecution described SBF's actions as an attempt to discredit and intimidate Ellison through the press, an argument that convinced Judge Kaplan enough to send him to jail. SBF faces several wire and securities fraud charges related to the alleged multi-billion-dollar FTX fraud. This case highlights the importance of holding powerful individuals accountable for their actions, especially when they're accused of manipulating the system to their advantage. The decision to jail SBF ahead of his trial sends a pretty good message that no one is above the law, regardless of wealth or influence. At least in theory it does. And that about wraps it up for today. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss a news update or a deep dive into our favorite cultural icons. As always, degenerates, stay weird, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.